that. Now, notes in English is weird because you know that you're going to get assessed with an essay. You know you're going to get asked an essay question, or you know you're going to get asked with the short answer. So notes are a bit strange because it's like, I feel like compared to like your humanities subjects, or even if you've got notes for biology, for example, it's very much like memorizing the content and then applying it. But like notes for English are just a bit weird because you know there's so many different questions that they can give you. You know 100% you are going to get an essay question out of 20, especially for the essays. You will get an essay question. It'll be out of 20. You don't know what that essay question will be on, but you know it's going to be on an essay. So I am not a big lover of notes for English, and in year 12, notes for English just are a bit harder to work on because you're working on multiple different essays and you know that it's going to be essays. If you're using notes, I completely understand how that works, and I was doing it up until I think mid year 11, but from then on I made the switch to having an essay to study and like really working on like really trying to perfect like a really good draft and then going on from there. Um and that really works for me, and that helped me so much because, like I said, your quotes, your technique, your analysis never change. Even now, you guys going into an exam, you might memorize 6 quotes, maybe 8 quotes, maybe some of you 4 quotes. It just depends what your teachers are expecting. But either way, you memorize those quotes. Those quotes always have the same technique. They also always have the same meaning. They come from the same character. They come from the same setting. You're just going to prove that to a different point. Same with your themes. The theme is always going to have the same meaning. You're just going to prove that to a different point. So a lot of that stuff I kind of wrote into my essay, and I would practice putting in the module work, and then I would take a kind of like a base essay and I would put it with different questions and be like, okay, how would I change it? What can I add to it? Let's try and perfect it and make this really broad general essay that I could then adapt. And that was so helpful for me. I definitely think I did that for my prelims, and I definitely think that's why I got 39 out of 40. I think that helped me so much, and that really made me jump in ranks and in marks. But yeah, it's up to you guys if you are looking at trying something new. I definitely recommend it. And if you have any questions, please just leave them in the chat. But you can do this as well. And I know a lot of people, and especially if you find notes online, a lot of them are using like an idea quote technique table. Up to you. Personally, I would just do flashcards. I kind of have flashcards with all of this, but I would just have them on flashcards because flashcards were easy for my memorizing. But it's up to you if that was something that you wanted to do. Um, but you also, what's really important is just making rubric links. And we already saw how anomalies, paradoxes, inconsistencies. We saw how the different audience um, receptions, and how um, the purpose and the values and the context keeps coming up, and how they can just take like the module wording and just throw it in your face and throw it in so many different questions. So having that module, and that's why I really recommend guys search the module. If you were to write a practice essay, search the module, have it open in split screen, and go back and forth and think, okay, where can I add in this word? How can I drag it to this? Let me make a question out of the module. Would it answer this well? And use that as your guide, because all your questions, your prelim exam, every question is taken from the rubric, especially for the essays and even in the creative, they have to start with the rubric, and it won't really go outside of that, especially for the text. This is just a bit more on making your notes. Now you can make them really pretty. I was doing that in year 11 to like get myself to study, but as I got to year 12, I was like, I just don't have the time anymore. And whether you want to do them digitally, whether you want to handwrite, all of that stuff is completely up to you. Please do not listen to online advice and think like, I must handwrite, I must type, they must be pretty. A lot of online advice is like, you need to do this to get this ATAR, you need to do this many hours to get into this course or get into that. Please, if you take anything from this lecture, I promise you that's not how it is. I really, really promise you that's not how it is. Whatever works best for you. And maybe making your notes pretty, like other people are going to be like, oh, you're just making them pretty, like, you know, you don't even study them. Who cares? All outside noise doesn't matter. Whatever works for you. I know for me, in year 11, I really had to make them pretty, and that was what was motivating me to study. And other people would be like, oh, like, you just do it as a look at them. I was like, okay, keep talking. But then when I got to year 12, I kind of just found the style that was working for me, and other people like looked at like how I would do that essay in the base, and they were like, "Oh, you're not studying enough." And my friends would have like 10, 15 pages of notes, and I'd have like 3 pages of like an essay, and that's all I'd be reading, and they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, how are you going to do well? You haven't studied enough. You're so underprepared." But then I'd still go in and I'd be completely fine. I was getting better marks than I had even in year 11. So don't listen to outside noise. I think it's great to take advice from the internet, but be very careful with the language that they're using. And especially if it's like this, you must do this to get this ATAR. And if you want a band 6, you have to be doing this. Not really how it works. A lot of people, like I said before in that analogy, so many people can get the same mark doing different things for English. So um, it's completely up to you. We are going to talk